Veterans, corporate professionals, moms, dads, people who had stable lives are now sleeping on our streets, in cars, in parks, and on sidewalks in front of our homes. Drugs, alcohol, domestic violence, job loss, a lot of different things can push someone into homelessness. Now, while the overall number of people living unsheltered in San Diego has started to come down, the number of people older than 55 living outside is going up. Often the first person to respond is a San Diego police officer, but it's not always about handcuffs or a ticket. Sometimes it's an officer in a polo, khakis, in a van or a car with no police markings on it. They're part of the Neighborhood Policing Division and the Homeless Outreach Team. HOT was formed in 2018. It's an alternative to peer enforcement focused on trust building, education, and connecting people to services. I'm Abby Black with the Backstory. Today we're joined by Lieutenant Matt Botkin from the Neighborhood Policing Division and Sergeant Kayla Evans, who oversees the newly expanded Intervention Services team. This team handles the more difficult calls HOT receives. HOT is small, which is Homeless Outreach Team, but it still has assisted thousands of unsheltered San Diegans. Last year alone, the team helped get someone into shelter more than 500 times. Well, thank you so much for joining us. First, I really want to point out that both of you are not in your traditional police uniforms. You're in more casual clothing, khakis, and a polo. Why is that?
You know, one thing that we've learned over the course of our careers and really in the heavy amount of interactions that we have when it comes to dealing and interacting with people who are experiencing homelessness is that rapport is everything. If we don't have rapport, we really don't have anything. We have lots of resources, we have lots of services, community partners, but if we don't have the cooperation of someone, then we're not going to get a lot accomplished. And so the rapport building is really where those uniforms come in. Officers, you've seen them in their traditional uniforms. Homeless Outreach wears something similar to what I have, which is a polo shirt and khaki pants with the regular duty belt because they still have a law enforcement function to perform. But that just by itself is helpful in gaining rapport. They drive vehicles that are just all white with San Diego police markings on them, but not the traditional black and white vehicles that you are, normally you see. And then Intervention Services team, they take that one step further. They wear regular clothing like anybody else wears to the office, and they drive plain marked cars. And so that really is the first step in reducing barriers, which is what we're all about. We don't want someone to not speak with us because they have a prior, bad event or a bad, preconceived notion about who we are and what law enforcement is. So if we can get that piece out of the way, that's one step closer to them knowing that we care about them, that they can trust us, and that we're gonna help them.
Walk us through, I think this is a good segue to walk us through, a typical call. Let's say you get a call about a complaint of maybe an encampment, and instead it's an intervention services officer or someone else from Neighborhood Policing Division showing up. And, instead of an officer in a uniform, this can help break that barrier already.
Yeah, we get a lot of referrals from, our partners throughout the city, other officers to say, hey, this might be a case that you guys would be interested in. So, we'll do our research. We try to get the name, date of birth, do our research, locate them, which is sometimes a challenge itself. And then we approach them, plain clothes, very casual. Hey, we're so-and-so, we're here to help. This is what we do. And try to open up that segue of building that rapport with them to show that, hey, they can talk with us, be comfortable, we're here to help, we're not trying to do enforcement, and just kind of establish that relationship with them.
And can you already see the reaction from someone?
Oh yeah, we've had, are you really a cop? Because we're in, t-shirts and jean or t-shirt and khakis, and are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, we are, and this is what we do, and it just kind of built into that.
Well, and I think that's amazing because, again, it's building that rapport, and so you already don't have to go maybe through 5 more steps to get them to really kind of cooperate or talk with you on what their needs or their resources are. And so when you first arrive on a scene, what are you visually looking for?
Safety is number one priority for us. We're dealing with a lot of people that we don't know their background, or we do know that they have mental health issues or substance abuse issues. So safety is number one for everybody, for our officers, for the community, for the individual. And once we establish that, we're assessing them. What can we do to help you? Is it mental health? Is it substance abuse? Are you just down on your luck and you need assistance getting back home? and we just, we evaluate it and go from there.
And what about, for some officers, they only get to see the beginning, they don't get to see the end. How do you track success stories?
It's definitely, quality. It's hard to, it's a process, right? It's not a one-stop shop. It's not, we meet you and we solve your problem. A lot of it has to do with, approaching them, building rapport, gaining that trust, diagnosing or understanding what it is that they're going through, and figuring out how we can help them. And, we make contact with you, and it might be a few days, it might be a few weeks, it's been a couple months that we work with you. And, it could take days or weeks to get that trust and build that rapport. And once we do, then it's, okay, what can we do to help you? And it's just, it's a process. It's not an overnight success story.
Right. So oftentimes, you may have to go back to the same person several times over a course of a few months.
Yeah, it could be. It's a process.
And I think, Lieutenant, maybe this might be a good time to ask you, for some people, there may be skepticism of how can you really bridge police enforcement with outreach services. So where do you draw the line between offering services and, say, writing a citation or taking them to jail?
Yeah, I think in one vein, it's understandable, that people would be a little bit skeptical, but the way that we approach things at Neighborhood Policing Division, and really for the department, but Neighborhood Policing Division in specific, is that we look at enforcement as being a way of accounting or having accountability, and we look at outreach as encouragement. And so what I mean by that is that we're always going to lead with outreach. We're always going to ask the question every time, even if we know we're going to take enforcement, hey, what can I do to help you get out of the circumstance that you're in? What resources can I offer? Do you need a place to stay? So we're always going to lead with that. Because if we don't, then we're just trying to enforce our way out of a problem. And that's just never going to be it. It's never going to work that way. Just as it's true that enforcement by itself won't solve the problem, it's also true that outreach won't either. And so they do balance one another out. But we always lead with outreach, because we know that at the end of the day, that is where the success is going to come from, because outreach successes come about because of partnership between us and the person that we're working with. And when we have their cooperation and we're doing our part, good things happen. So.
And the Neighborhood Policing Division has evolved since 2018 for many reasons. The sense of, the needs are greater, they just keep growing. But with that, Chief Wall has really expanded that as well. Kind of explain the new staffing levels that you've implemented and training.
Yeah, so back in, what was that? Man, that was I was about to say 25 years ago, but that's hot team. Back when neighborhood policing first stood up, that was commanded by our now current chief, Chief Scott Wall. And so he was there along with Lieutenant Carissa Doherty Edwards, standing up the whole brand new division. And so the chief is very aware of what happens at neighborhood policing. He understands the challenges. He knows that it takes people to get that done. And so from a staffing perspective, what he's implemented is having all brand new police officers, those who have completed field phase, they've done the academy and then the field phase, they are then assigned to neighborhood policing division for anywhere from 3 to 4 months. While those officers are there, they get exposed to understanding how to conduct outreach, how to conduct progressive enforcement, how to utilize HOT, what HOT can do and what they can't do, how to utilize intervention services team, or at least understand what they do. They are exposed to all kinds of contacts day in and day out. They have to. Even doing outreach is a contact by itself. And when I say contact, I mean officers driving their patrol car, they see somebody they want to go talk to, whether it's homeless-related concerns or it's just traditional crime-related concerns. The ability to get out of your car, walk up to a complete and total stranger is really antithetical to what a lot of people do. It's unnerving. We talked about the safety piece. That's really challenging. Those new officers are going to get the opportunity to do that every day, 4 days a week at a high volume. They're going to be very competent. They're going to be very confident in what they do. One of the more important training pieces that they do are the details where we have Sergeant Evans, imagine that, sitting next to us, and her senior officers from Intervention Services team taking younger officers out who are new and conducting under the influence evaluations. The goal for that is twofold. The first is to train them, make them more confident, more competent in evaluating people, with the second goal being to get the people they're evaluating to services, an alternative to incarceration. We do that through the Regional Bridge Center and our partnership and contractual agreements with them. So officers will go out, they'll conduct an evaluation, they'll see that a person is under the influence, and if they are, they'll let them know, hey, we would like to take you to a place that's going to get you back on track, get you linked up with a counselor, get you to long or short-term care. And so the staffing piece is great, right? The exposure, professional experience piece is really important, and the influence piece is really important too. It's just a
to get an
valuable tool.
officer to be able to be trained, this also helps them better able to respond to mental health issues as well. We know
Yeah.
that can be a challenge, and that's really been a big focus of getting law enforcement and its partners to be able to respond to mental health issues. To me, I feel like it takes a really special kind of officer to be able to serve in the neighborhood policing division, homeless outreach team, intervention services, because you have to have a lot of patience and a lot of empathy, but also you're a police officer as well. So safety and protection as well. So to me, I feel like it's a hard
fine
balance.
Yeah, it's a fine balance. It's definitely, I'm very fortunate with the officers that we have on our team. They're very senior, very passionate about what they do. They patient. They know that it's going to not be an overnight success, and they're willing to put the work in. And they go out and they contact these people, and they build rapport with them and gain their trust. And these people rely on them. They call them when they need it. When they're, we deal with people who are at the lowest of lows. They hit rock bottom, and they're not afraid to call my officers and say, "Hey, I need help," and it works.
And this is probably also where rookies can really make their mark too. They really got it in them to be able to do this.
Yeah, and what's important about what you just said about the younger officers, what's true is that, I think across law enforcement in general it's true, but currently, and certainly with this generation, impact is what brings people to this job. And the current generation, that's really, the millennial generation, that's their emphasis. Their goal is to make an impact. You want to talk about an impact? I was a patrol officer all over the place for a really long time, and I made lots of great arrests, right? Woohoo! But when you look at life change that happens, that these young officers get to experience, that's an impact they'll never forget. Kayla's team has people who have been chronic alcoholics for years, and they have just stuck with them. And now we have people that are, recovered, back home with their family, stable employment, a place to live. From that, going back and looking where they were, living on the street, exposed to the elements,
You have someone that's in their corner, and
Yeah.
someone who didn't give up on you. And I'm sure for many of them, they didn't have someone in their corner, and people constantly gave up on them. And this is maybe why in the circumstances they are, but you're there to stick with them.
Right. It takes them a while to realize it sometimes, but once they do, they're not afraid to call.
Can you've made an impact on many lives, but what's one that really sticks with you without naming the person?
Kind of what he's talking about. We had an individual who he's had substance abuse issues for years, and he's a well-known individual in the downtown area. Everyone knows who he is. He's been arrested. He's been transported, and he kind of came on our radar, and we reached out to him and just said, "Hey, when you're ready, we'll help you." And a lot of resistance in the beginning, a lot of building that trust, a lot of contacts with him. And eventually he realized that, hey, we're not here to get you in trouble. We're here to help you. We're not judging you. And it worked. He started trusting them, and, I think he reached his breaking point, and he was ready for help. And it got to the point where he would relapse, and he would call my guys and say, "Hey, I started drinking again. This is where I'm at. Can you come help me?" And yeah, we'll be there. And we'd, drive, go find him. Sometimes it was ordering medics for him because he was very intoxicated. And sometimes it's like, "Hey, let's go to detox and sober up, and we'll meet you tomorrow and we'll start again." And it's been a couple months, it's been almost a year now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sober, he's thriving. He actually moved to be closer to family in a different state. And every once in a while he'll check up on us and just kind of reach out and say, "Hey, I'm still sober, I'm still doing good." And it's just a really happy ending for seeing someone that was so rock bottom and just at their most vulnerable, and to see them thriving now. It's really rewarding.
Knowing that slow chip, chipping away at it, it's going to work. You're going to make it work, and you're going to stick with it.
And having officers that are patient and they understand that, and they they're not going to get that overnight success, but keep chipping away, and hopefully we'll have a happy ending.
I think this is like, officers have said if patrol units are like Band-Aids, then hot members are like surgeons. What do you think of that analogy?
Yeah, we were thinking about that one. I think what it is that you have 3 different components. You have the enforcement side of neighborhood policing division, homeless outreach team, and then you have intervention services team. The enforcement side, we're always going to lead with outreach, but their job really is to go out and address persistent concerns. Hey, we have talked to you quite often. We've conducted the progressive enforcement model. Now it's time for us to take some action. That's their main focus. They have time to deal with that. Homeless outreach team on a macro level has a group of people that they frequently interact with, in addition to being called by enforcement to come check on them. They have a lot more time to drive people to get their license, to get their social security benefits, do all these different pieces and meet them along the way. Intervention services has, on a micro level, maybe 8, maybe 8 people at the most that the 4-person team works with, but each of those people takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of consistent effort. And some of the people they work with don't know that they need help right now. They are either diagnosed, undiagnosed with mental health concerns, and they're just not in a place to understand that all the different behaviors that the officers are exposed to, and they get to see, and all the different minor or serious crimes they're committing. They just don't. They are incapable almost of understanding how desperately they need assistance. And so we all have the same skills. It's just the mission's a little bit different for each of the teams. And so, yeah.
And for many of the challenges, it's not only breaking through, but also, with the resources that are available in the city. I mean, let's say finally someone says, okay, I will, I'll go to a shelter tonight. I want a bed, and there's no beds available. What do you do in those situations, and how do you kind of triage all of that when?
I mean, I would say that's probably our biggest challenge, shelter beds, detox beds. It's something we do face, but I will say that we work with the community, with the city, other entities, and we work really well together, and we try. And, if I can't do something, I'll call somebody else and see if they can. It's a challenge, but we kind of power through it. And there's some days that we work with someone, it's like, we don't have something for you today, but we're going to come tomorrow, and we're going to try again.
How do these partnerships work? I know with San Diego Fire and Rescue, Father Joe's Villages, there's many partners that you have that serve many different types of needs.
Yeah, the partnerships that we have with different city entities, with community groups and private organizations really is the kind of secret sauce to how we get things done effectively. Because while it's true that the city by itself has lots of resources, we're never going to have everything that we need. Even if there was a magic pill that got dropped, and we could have access to whatever we wanted. We need a diverse group of people, and so working with San Diego Fire's RAP team, their resource access program, they can do things like provide medically assisted treatment for someone who's dealing with substance abuse issues in the field. They have physician assistants. They have people who can provide long-term psychiatric medications to people in the field once they're ready for that, and they're willing to do that. And that puts people from a psych perspective on a very steady path for a while. They get that kind of leveling out to really see how things are going as opposed to how they were going. Father Joe Villages, Alpha Project, Regional Bridge Center, so many people, McAllister Institute. There is a ton. It truly does take a whole of city and whole of community approach, and that's what we get out of these groups that we work with. And so we're really privileged to work with them and really thankful for them.
Yeah, I'd say it takes a village. We have there's a group of us between fire and city attorney's office. We actually meet regularly, and we find that a lot of times our clients overlap, right? So sometimes we'll have a meeting like, hey, this person's on my radar. Have you guys dealt with them? And they'll be like, oh yeah, we do a lot of transports with them, and we'll sit and we'll discuss it like, hey, it's like a case, right? So maybe you guys can go make contact with them and see if they're interested in getting mental health, treatment, getting stabilized. Or they'll call us and say, hey, we have this person that's going to be they need a lot of steps to take. Maybe you guys can, go contact them and see what you can do to help them. It's definitely like a collaborative effort. And it's great because everyone has so much experience on different levels. So when we get together, we come up with a solution. And, it's a project, but working together has been so effective. And it's such a great group of passionate people who really care that and we get it done.
And as you continue to have this rapport and these partnerships, again, getting back to some of the challenges, the fact of with some of these court rulings, how has that changed how you police, but also offer these services as well?
Yeah, I think what all of those court rulings have in common
we're talking about encampment sweeps.
Yeah, encampment sweeps, really any kind of enforcement, but encampments, oversized vehicle, all kinds of different pieces where these different lawsuits or settlements have come into play. What they all have in common is that fundamentally they want us as law enforcement and as city and city government to be fair with people, to be compassionate in our approach. And those are really the two pieces that all of them share. And so for us, we are doing what we have been doing, and I'm sure people on other sides of the argument may disagree slightly, but we've been doing what we have been doing for a long time, and that's leading with outreach, being compassionate, recognizing that life is complicated, and there is no one-size-fits-all solution, and understanding that it's going to take time to get success. And so the rulings have their effects in different regards as to what we can and can't do, and at what times and in what manner. But for the most part, what they're all seeking is fairness and equitable enforcement, and that's what our officers do every day. We deal with people who do want help and don't want help, and the people that do, that's easy. But the people who don't, it takes a lot of rapport building.
I was going to say, how do you build that trust with these people that don't want help? How do you not give up on them?
Keep showing up.
Yeah. Keep showing up. It's contact by contact. It's every day. It's being very matter of fact sometimes. Hey, I see that we have talked to you 5 times about not having all of your items on the sidewalk and blocking the sidewalk for our kids to get to school. We need to have that change. So today we're going to conduct enforcement. We're going to write you a citation. We're going to ask you to move, and that usually can have some effect. But if it doesn't, then we can follow the progressive enforcement model leading up to potentially, custodial arrest. We would much rather have that go the other way, which is, today I do choose to have services, brought to me. I do want to get off the streets. I do want to change. And that's really difficult and hard to get to. When it comes to the fairness side of things, I think the piece that sometimes get left out in that is the community, right? You have store owners, you have business owners, you have working class families that have a right to feel safe, to have a right to have a clean and tidy neighborhood. And when people who, in some circumstances, by no fault of their own, but in a lot of the times, they do kind of know what's going on, making things worse for those people, it really is fundamentally unfair. And so what we try to do is balance the approach. Be nice and be kind and do outreach, but also respect the fact that San Diegans need to have a quality of life. Both need to have a quality of life, but in some circumstances, you've got trash and tents and everything over the place. I remember being a young officer working in Logan Heights at the time and watching working class families walk their kids into the street around just walls of tents on sidewalks all along the roadway. That's not fair. Just as it's also true that it's not fair that people are on the streets, and so we have to continue on. We have to make solid efforts and contact by contact, whether it's the community or it's the people that we're trying to help. Being firm, fair, and compassionate really gets us a lot.
I think you make a good point because, let's say someone's visiting and they're going to Petco Park. They're going to go see a Padres game. And you drive down Island, you drive down right in there, and it's just, wall-to-wall tents. And you think, this isn't our city. Like, go move them out. Go move them out. Or you see an encampment. Go kick them out and go move them out. But it's not so easy, and that's not how you guys operate.
Yeah, not at all. I think I said it once before, but it really is true. Life is complicated, man. It's not just a matter of hey, get out of here. Beat it. That's not going to help anybody. It may help in the short term, and by short term I mean long enough for them to move and us to turn our backs and for them to return.
Right?
That's
the thing too. Sorry to interrupt you, but for a lot of the times, sometimes they get moved out and then they just set up camp maybe 2 blocks over. Or once they see that that place is cleared out, then they come back like 2 weeks later. How do you
Yeah.
deal with that situation? Because I know that can be frustrating for neighbors on the other side of this issue.
Yeah, I mean, the way that we deal with it, neighborhood policing, is tempo. We maintain a tempo of events. You know, we know through a very organized method that, hey, if we went to, you know, 17th and K Street today, or the Imperial Street corridor, and we did a big enforcement that day. Like, we went out and we said, hey, look, everybody, it's time to go. If you agree to go to shelter, great. If you don't, we're going to cite you, and we're going to you know, clean the block up with Environmental Services Division. And so when we do that, people will leave and sometimes they'll come back. But we have a method of just returning on a frequent basis and making sure that we're continuing to check up. But it's a big city, right? There's only so many of us, and we can only come back to a place so many times at a certain frequency. And so sometimes it's triaging, sometimes it's a higher priority issue. But we try to come back as much as we can and just maintain a consistent tempo of outreach, of enforcement, and environmental services, cleaning things up.
Is neighborhood policing division, is it throughout the city? Do you have officers placed at each division?
No. So a little bit of history. When neighborhood policing was formed, those officers originally came from all of the different 9 divisions within the city. Mm-hmm. And so you had a neighborhood resource team at Central Division, which is the downtown area. You had a quality of life team at, say, Northern Division up in La Jolla, UTC area. When neighborhood policing was formed, all of those teams were brought together under one umbrella, one building, so that in the morning when they brief, they can talk about the issues of the day, their enforcement, where they want to go, and so that's where they all come from. So now neighborhood policing is a citywide entity. We cover all of the city, but we still have the teams broken down by service areas or parts of town.
To kind of wrap it up, I mean, if City Hall, the county, or the state could do one specific thing tomorrow that would make your work more meaningful and more effective, what would each of you ask?
You know, that is such a challenging question. It's challenging for us because we work within the reality that we're currently in. And so, I mean, like, you know, the best answer, right, is like, well, just give us a whole bunch of money. But we know that we have a challenging budget year, right? We have challenging staffing. You know, retaining people and recruiting people is a challenge all over nationwide for law enforcement. But we do need more people. We're hiring. Join SDPDnow.com. But we also, you know, on the financial side of things, you know, money would be great. But I think, gosh, if we could have anything, I think it would be the continued support that we have from every level of city government. I mean, is it always the best? You know, maybe not, but most of the time it's great. I mean, we have, you know, council members who are involved. We have the mayor who's involved. The chief is involved. The division commander or captains are involved. Community members, the community groups are phenomenal. There's
kind
so
of like
many
the eyes and ears to help kind of bridge some of that together.
And also being in, you know what, that's my answer. My answer is somehow funding the community groups. I mean, maybe it's not funding, maybe it's just supporting them, but I can think of like Mid-City Coalition, the Northern Division Community Resource Group. I mean, like, there's so many. The community members, they're really the best. They support us. They point us to people who need services, and we have lots of success.
So if someone's listening or watching right now and they know someone that needs help, what can they do to reach out?
We have the 211 that they can always dial, and then we also have the hotline, which is 619-446-1010. It's basically a voicemail service that if they want help, they can leave a voicemail and we'll follow up with them.
Well, thank you so much for this very thoughtful, meaningful, and honest conversation, because I know when we talk about homelessness, it impacts every side of our city and every type of person. And so I really appreciate you guys joining us for the backstory.
Yeah,
thank you so much.